first of all thank everyone for being here today and for partaking in the meeting as a whole. Um, it is a matter of deep concern in a country like South Africa, with the history of apartheid and everything that came out of there. Uh, these topics are very sensitive topics, and the discussion yesterday touched the hearts of various devotees, not only those who we see here online, but it obviously reaches much further than what is happening here. What is happening is, for those who are not fully tuned in with what is taking place, there's a meeting happening here between a group of devotees from African origin in South Africa who have taken the initiative to approach the authorities of ISKCON in South Africa. And yesterday and today we have the presence of our GBC of South Africa, and we have a representation of the National Council of South Africa. The initiative of the African devotees is known as, they have named it Wake Up South Africa, or in short, WuSA. There was an agenda of 6 points, which has been discussed yesterday, and today is basically a further follow-up on that, and that same discussion, and also an opportunity for devotees to express themselves and to somehow or other. But the attempt here is not an attempt to create tension. Rather, it is the opposite. It is an attempt to create a solution. It is solution driven, and therefore, I think what is happening should be seen as a positive effort, and we hope that things will go forward and that the yatra in South Africa will become harmonious and inspiring to devotees from all backgrounds, and that is the objective here. I'll turn over the floor to either a representative of WuSA, or it can be a representative of the National Council. What we basically discussed we would do is see if we could take those 6 points from the agenda a little bit further. And the first topic was, we are allowed to use existing temple facilities for a variety of African-centered programs, which WuSA will oversee, and that the onus be placed on temple authorities to make their predominant Indian congregations aware of and compliant with fair operational standards for these programs. This is from the open letter which was written to the GBC by WuSA. And yesterday we got a response from the GBC that in principle this was certainly made sense, and that it would require some coordination. So was there from WuSA's side anything more to add on that point, or was that complete? The mics are on mute if anyone's maybe either Savi Sachi or Navina Radhika.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. The the point is, as it is I think is a bit clear. Would be happy to clarify if there's anything that is unclear. We'd just like to get the feedback from SANC about what they considered with regards to that point.
Okay, so maybe Sarup Damodar would like to answer that.
Sure, Maharaj. Yeah, there were some concerns I noticed on the chat yesterday about the phrase "in principle," and I think that needs to be detailed. You know, I was thinking from my perspective that how to make this a practical reality. The GBC, the National Council, yes, the temples exist for the use of sharing Krishna consciousness, cultivating devotees. Now, how to best facilitate WuSA's request to make sure that there are no teething problems on the ground, or if there are issues coming up, how to effectively deal with it. So, yes, there is a go-ahead for WuSA to engage either through maybe a smaller group or a representative on the National Council with the temples, or just directly. So maybe some input from WuSA could come out. How would they like to go about engaging with the temple presidents to secure and schedule and strategize different programs, and what sort of assistance would be required from the National Council to protect the in-principle agreement that they are, or the in-principle commitment that happens. So then we can take it from there and establish some system of how to best facilitate that.
So it looks like in principle there is, or using that word in principle, there is an agreement. There is an agreement, but it is and just some nuts and bolts maybe coming up. You know what I mean? How to communicate it to the president so that everything is fine. So that you have to just work out with the National Council, but that's no longer part of this meeting. I think that becomes just nuts and bolts from outside. It is approved.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We get a clear
yes,
approval.
Yes, definitely.
The answer to the first thing is yes. Now,
improved and encouraged, yeah.
Improved, encouraged, there are no problems. And now it's just a matter of they have to send or create some form of communication to the presidents, right? So that everything is, and other representatives, so that's all clearly understood that this is agreed, desired, and not only that, you know, I said yesterday, not only that it is allowed, you know, but that it is really like something we want to do, something we want to welcome and say, hey, oh, most welcome, this is very nice, not from, okay, we're going to allow this, but rather, yes, this is something we want to do, and please come and do your activities. And then I brought up yesterday some detail, you know, that I thought of, like, there should be no bills or something for gas use or for you know, things like that. Sometimes that also happens in some temples. I think the temple should just absorb that's what I would recommend, because obviously WuSA is starting without any money and with a lot of enthusiasm, and they need support in that regard. So the temple should absorb whatever activities are there. That doesn't mean the cooking and so on, right? That you are sort of arranging for prasadam. I mean, I'm sure. So that it's only that the details are still pending. So,
yeah.
You know, about who will cook, how it will be done, and so on. And is that okay, Savisachi? And
Hare Krishna Maharaj, it's Siddhanta Das.
Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I
Thank you,
wanted to
Ram.
say, oh, Siddhartha.
It's Siddhartha Shai.
Hari.
Acknowledge, Maraj, you talk about the nuts and bolts that would be need to resolve, and I think you just hinted on the issue of certain support facilities of the temple. We should also bear in mind that there is a financial constraint amongst temples, which has not been actually in the forefront amongst some of the members, and given the economic meltdown. So we have to be wary about that. And to a point, to what extent would WuSA come in terms of contribution, in terms of that level? I think we must be mature in having that level of discussion because there is financial constraints currently amongst various temples in South Africa.
Right, right. Yeah, I don't think the proposal was of the nature that the temples should bear a lot of expenses. You know, I think the proposal was they wanted to use the facilities. They wanted some, that will come up as a separate point, but they wanted some license to raise funds so that they could provide for the needs of these programs. They would, so they can fill in some of these details. How would you, how do you envision that, you know, between some of the WuSA panel leaders? How would that work? The prasadam arrangements, how would it be paid for, since financial constraints have been raised now?
First, I just wanted to acknowledge sannyasis and senior devotees that have come. Also, we have some leadership from East Africa that has joined the meeting today. So just wanted to welcome them. I think they are also very interested to hear what will come up from here, because I think issues are also going in that part of the world also.
Okay, yes, definitely. It's sometimes difficult on these calls to know who is here, but certainly we're very happy to welcome back a few of our senior leaders. Mahavishnu Maharaj is here and led a nice kirtan at the beginning. I think that, of course, Bhakti Nrsimha Maharaj is back, and also Bhakti Jira Damodar Maharaj is here. I didn't see Charadeja Maharaj, but maybe he's there. But we are very pleased to, yes, and other leaders from East Africa. Please be welcome to this discussion. Then Savisachi, please respond a little to this topic, the point of by Siddhanta, Swarup, these 2 points.
About financial constraints.
Yeah, and how you envision that your programs will function in the temples.
One way is that we could get time slots on a Sunday, something earlier or after the normal Sunday program. Preferably we could use it on a Saturday. And so then that's less traffic happening at the temple. And so everything is sort of available to use. Naturally, we communicate with those who are in charge of the kitchen. We bring whatever boga we need to bring. If there's something from the temple side that they feel is available, a natural working of relationship of communication, timings, and because we all sort of congregate generally in the same temples, so then we'd have someone who's locally based to make sure that all concerned are in the know as to when we are there, how long we are there, sort of thing. And yeah, I don't think it will be an issue too much if there's permissions and they know that we are doing these types of programs.
Yeah. So I think then basically there is an agreement apparent. To me, it seems there's agreement, and that it should be fine, and that, you know, some things, yeah, need a little coordination and discussion with local leaders, and you'll do that, right? And you're satisfied to this point. And all you want on this particular point is a written confirmation from the
Yes.
correct?
Yes, and also, if possible, I guess we can then circulate that so that the larger body of devotees know, and those who are supporting our initiative can know how far we've gone in these dialogues.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. And
Hare Krishna Maharaj, sorry,
yes,
I'll
I'm
just
here.
contribute a point about the programs. I think it's important that the temple leaders see the WuSA program as their program that's being managed by WuSA. Not that it's like, it's sort of like, yes, it's our program as well, and endeavor to as they would their own programs, like their and our programs, but see it as their own program and help as far as is possible to make these programs reality. I just wanted to share that sort of vision
Yeah.
from the temple leader side.
No, that's.
I think that would be a good one, Prabhu, for what Siddhanta Prabhu was raising, because
Yeah.
he was already sounding like the temples are ours, we have constraints, we don't know how we're going to fit you guys in. So thank you for that point.
Very good. Okay. So then Swarup is the chairman of the SANC. So you'll prepare, it sounds to me you need a letter that not only in writing to write that the SANC grants its permission and so on, or welcomes these programs, but also a letter from the SANC addressing the temples and other forms of communication with the temple leaders to get the proper mood of welcoming these efforts as their own efforts. That's more or less the conclusion. Okay, that's very good. So then I'll go on. 1 minute. Let me just see. Okay, the second point was about raising funds for that WuSA would like recognition as a I can read the whole thing. In order to achieve our goals, which include preaching projects, cultivation and training of African devotees in leadership and other areas, we require authorization in writing to raise funds as an independent project body within ISKCON or as an affiliate, such as Food for Life. As an act of good faith, the founding members of WuSA have collectively contributed 10,000 Rand as seed capital towards these fundraising efforts. Okay, so naturally this discussion in the meeting and then discussion around the meeting, it's been buzzing yesterday on the internet after our session. And part of that buzz was that when it came to fundraising, the question was, okay, what are you fundraising for? And are you trying to raise 10 million Rand for a big building or this or that? Or how do you see that? What is your objective? Maybe you can clarify more what exactly is behind it. That is a question that came up. So maybe Navina Radhika can say something.
Hare Krishna. So the issue of fundraising and for what is quite complex. Obviously, there's a lot of inspiration and a lot of ideas, and there are real limitations right this moment because of the COVID restrictions. So we can give a high-level idea of what areas we would like to grow in as an entity. We know that devotees would like to have a place or a building or a structure, whether that takes the shape of an eco-village, a farming community, a school, that still needs to be better unpacked. In terms of operations also, as soon as there's more mobility for devotees in terms of movements, obviously our programs will need to be funded. I know that I'm based in Cape Town, and we've already started discussions around having Bhakti Yoga societies through local community centers, as in local government centers, within communities, township communities like Guguletu and Kailicha. And all those things will have some kind of monetary requirements, you know, whether it's to purchase instruments, prashadam, because those are envisioned to be weekly and quite frequent. So I think that what we wanted was to be recognized and for ISKCON to understand that if we seek, or if people are inspired to provide funding to us, we are happy to provide some kind of reporting in terms of how those monies are envisioned to be spent, even though we don't have the exact details at this moment. It would have been presumptuous of us, you know, to go ahead and say, we've opened a bank account, we're working on these projects without these permissions or these agreements with ISKCON. But at this stage, we're happy to take it away and come back with some firm proposals and give an indication of what all of these ideas may add up to in terms of cost.
Mm-hmm. Savisachi?
Yes, just to add would be that everyone understands that for any preaching endeavor, you know, manpower, you need some capital and power parts, and also some land. So fundraising is just natural for any initiative to be able to operate. So although it's natural, I guess for us, then it has to be checked that maybe we are not trying to fundraise for a tavern or something. We are signed up for the same mission of preaching Krishna consciousness. And we need some Lakshmi to spread Lord Narayan's message. Okay. So I think, yes, we shouldn't be limited as to whether we can present now some details of exactly what.
No. Okay. So you know, some questions that come up are questions like this. You you wanted to register and as an independent legal entity, and you wanted to be an affiliate of ISKCON and be accountable to the local GBC and whatever the National Council for your financial activities and so on. Now, so you're going to work as a separate legal entity, and then you want to raise funds from the ISKCON congregation, and you will, if you start to raise a lot of money and you want to make buildings, then the buildings will also go in the name of that other legal entity, or how does that look? Those are some things that came up.
Also, can I just ask, it would be nice, Mark, to also know who's asking the question from the National Council? If we could have them ask the question.
No, I can't really do that now, unless they ask themselves. Then they have to, we can ask someone to ask, and I can't do that. You know, if someone tells me privately something.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Incident us.
Good.
So in terms of the ISKCON law, it's very clear that if someone needs to be an affiliate of ISKCON, ultimately it states that the GBC be the ultimate controlling body under which the affiliates subscribes to. So that's important to note. If WuSA is to be established as an entity and creating that level of affiliation, so there has to be that link in terms of what Prabhanu Prabhu yesterday made mention of a memorandum of understanding. Otherwise, under normal circumstances and in terms of common law and in terms of the Companies Act, they could have then registered a separate entity, then it's totally then divorced of ISKCON. But when we talk of affiliation, then it comes under the ultimate control of the GBC. And I think that's the understanding that one should go through. Thanks, Maraj.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is something that that's up to WuSA to clarify what they want to do in that regard, I guess.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yes, we are operating under ISKCON. And so we need to sit and understand what it means to affiliate with ISKCON and then work it out according to the legalities of being an affiliate of ISKCON.
Yeah. Like what he was explaining is it would mean you register your society and then you make a separate document, a memorandum of understanding, and in that separate document you describe the terms of your affiliate. Vedanta would say.
Thank you so much.
Yes, that is Prabhanu wants to add something. One moment. Please make sure that whoever is not speaking, please turn your connection on mute, because otherwise there's a spill of all kinds of noises. Prabhanu.
So just for clarification, the MOI, well, according to the GBC law, has to have the GBCs as the ultimate managing authority, but the directors that are appointed to the MOI or to the company, they have independence to run the company as they see fit, as long as they don't break any rules or break any laws or any financial irregularities and things like that. So that's the way the company is structured. But I'm happy to deal with Sabisatchi or a small group of devotees going forward into what the document looks like and how it feels, and we can take it from there.
Does that sound satisfactory?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Alina Radhika can also unmute, otherwise, because you can say something.
Yes, thank you very much. I think this is the detail that we wanted to discuss. We are happy to comply. We want to comply. There's no question of it being separate from ISKCON. The issue of independence is just some autonomy around activities and what we previously discussed yesterday. So yes, we would love to engage with Prabhanu Prabhu and take it forward.
Okay, thank you. We'll have an offline discussion at some point in time.
Yeah. So like what's going to happen is towards the end of today's meeting, there will have to be smaller discussions like that on technical details, and then it has to be decided, who is going to be part of that. Basically, subcommittees that are going to do some nuts and bolts work, as I call it, or some detailed elements of the agreements, and that you decide who is going to be in your groups, and that we should maybe towards the end of this meeting should maybe finalize, so that's really clear. Then we go away from this with something clear and concrete, I think. Because discussion is good to get better mutual understanding, but after that it has to translate into something clear as a follow-up, right? So that we go into the next step, not that we just say, okay, it was a nice discussion. No, something concrete has to come. So smaller groups to work on the details, and can either be the same group that works through a number of details, or can also be different groups that's your decision, really. Right? And also the National Council. So that's from both sides, from the National Council side, from the WuSA side, that they have to decide who's going to be part of which discussion, and we can take notes of that. I just have to get my notepad. Maybe we just say this discussion, now that we were on it, I make a note and then that's done. For the registration and affiliation, 1. Okay. Who would be part of that discussion? From SANC, we have Prabhanu already. And and then who would be from WuSA side? Navina Radhika. Navina. And anyone else?
Yeah.
Savia. And anyone else from SANC?
Maharaj, may I suggest Srivas Pandit and Govardhan Prabhu?
Okay, that sounds intense. That sounds like a real professional.
No, Srivas Pandit is very expert at helping
Governance and
set-
compliance.
I know he is.
helping. It'll just be pretty much a cakewalk, you know. If, yeah, he'll be very good assistance.
Okay, so are you okay with that, or the two of you and the three of them, or would you like to add someone?
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
I would just like to add that we must remember that this is all in spirits of training each other. As we break into these smaller groups, the idea is to give mentorship. The idea is to give training, that the senior devotees are training the younger devotees in every aspect, in management, in how to run a program, in our own professional skills, that we make sure that we, you know, whatever we start is successful, because it's programs for all the devotees. So let's think about this training energy that we bring to the table.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a valuable point. And it's again the point of, it's really relating to the basic topic, like instead of the great divide, you know, to see we are all together working on in a joint effort to create a better future. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, so I have 5 names for that registration discussion, and you're fine with that.
Maharaj, just just from what Mataji just said,
Yeah.
I think it's valuable if more devotees could be from WuSA could experience the process of the setting up a legal entity. You know, I mean, that's up to.
Okay.
You know, I think that's what I would take away from her point. So they get exposure to these types of, you know, how to arrange these things, and
Okay.
that'll be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Damodar,
any
sorry,
other
Maharaj.
suggestions from the Sarup side, from the WuSA side? Sorry.
Can I make a suggestion?
Who's speaking?
Mahavishnu Swami.
Oh, Mahavishnu Swami. Yes.
And well, you may, I think this is a bit of a irrelevant, but we have a devotee who is a trained lawyer in Uganda, Jagat Bandhu. So he can understand that, and then he can also help to make the same model for East Africa. If he could be part of the discussion, he's a lawyer, so he's a very thoughtful person. Jagat Bandhu.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that would be wonderful, Marge. That would be wonderful.
We can nominate names, Maharaj. We have in our group a chartered accountant. We have a lawyer, but it's difficult for us to nominate them, you know, on their behalf. We would like to come back and give the name.
But you can bring a few of your people on. You know, that's fine. You know, if you have a lawyer, then that is also good. Yeah. But sure. Okay. So then we leave that open, you know, like the plus legal experts or whatever. Yes. Okay, I noted that.
I have a question.
Yes, Savisaji.
Yes. Just on point number 2.
On point number 2.
We are discussing something like funding. and how we've also started to put some monies forward.
Right.
Are we also leaving this discussion with the commitment of funding from the mother body for this initiative?
Govardhan Prabhu?
Maharaj, I just want to say that just tied to Sabyasachi Prabhu's point, we did say, you know, there has to be a change, huh? So that means that the ISKCON, which is established, has got good resources, has to move the earth to transfer capacity, to transfer funding, make the necessary arrangements. Like even the first point about WuSA having a program, 20 or 30 devotees who might come, and then expecting WuSA Shinago and fundraise for the prasad. I think we must take away that point. It doesn't sound in the spirit of what we agreed yesterday. You know, because WuSA may not have that ability to do all of that. The temple is there. It's a temple program. So the temple must find, we must find a way of facilitating that. And then secondly, to Sabyasachi Prabhu's question, most certainly, Sabyasachi Prabhu, if there is a fundraising structure or team, I'd like to be on that to try and see how we can assist, to try and get serious funding in so you can execute the mandate you have in mind. Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
That's really very good, Govardhan Prabhu. Very good news. Both two good points, you know. I mean, really, from GBC level, a recommendation that the temples will welcome the effort and accommodate and provide prasadam and for the programs and so on. That is very nice. And that Govardhan Prabhu, who is very well connected, wants to help with fundraising, is also will help in the raising. So I think that's very good. Okay, what are there any other topics that we particularly want to address? This on the fundraising, is it also necessary to have a more detailed discussion with a smaller group? Is that how it's gonna get down to final a final outcome, or is it a matter of, okay, we're waiting for the letter from the SANC, and that's it, and then everything, and then as soon as the legal entity is there, everything is functioning. And before that, you know, even some petty cash, whatever. So these things are sounds like we need to work them out. Right?
Maharaj, may I say something?
Again, please say your name because I'm not sure where you are.
My name is Jagat Bandu from...
You're Jagat Bandu. Yes, I'm seeing now.
Yes, from East Africa. Well, I think that in principle, the beginning is always obscure and people don't know what's going to happen next. But what I think happens after a discussion like this, normally fundraising for a new entity, for example, if we concluded that they form a separate entity and start programs, they will have to cultivate a different group of donors, because the old donors, in most cases, they want to stay with people they understand better. So I don't see that in future there would be a conflict of fundraising from the same congregation that maybe the current temple establishment is fundraising from. To say, therefore, that fundraising should have so many restrictions, in essence, is to restrict how much the preaching can go, how much their preaching endeavors can go. What we need to work out, we may work out details if the National Council, for example, thinks that there are some limitations they should put, maybe on their congregation members, maybe on certain donors, we can include those to make sure that it's fair also for them not to lose their source of income. But it is important to know that fundraising in essence should be left as open as possible, because when you leave it as open as possible, you are speaking to how much willingness you have to leave the new preaching program thrive and grow. Because one would ask himself, what is the danger of having more 3 temples set up in Pretoria, or more 4 temples set up in Johannesburg, or more, I mean, there's no danger in that in the essence, because we shall be bringing more devotees to the movement. So the mindset, in my view, for everybody should be, let's leave the fundraising capacity as open as possible. Let's be as much liberal as we can go. About the legal entity, I can hear fears also of how much control can be maybe on standards and all that. Normally, what happens is that after you have established an entity, what matters is who is controlling the entity. So if the National Council thinks that there are no maybe enough devotees on the other side to make sure that the standards are there, following everything as Prabhupada said it, then we can say, we can have a discussion on whether one of the trustees could be nominated by the GBC or what. But all the same, if you think that the devotees who are going to be managing the program understand with full potent what the standard should be, then I don't see any conflict in how who controls the entity that will be formed. So I think at the end of the day, it comes down to the point of trust. Do we trust that we have enough manpower the other side that can handle what is going to happen next? That's where it zeroes down to. And Maharaj and all the devotees here, the point of trust is a very important point, because at the end of the day, in most cases, it ends up with racist tendencies, because you'll find somebody thinking this race is not wise enough to manage something. But if that feeling is not there, then if we have devotees who are initiated, who have been managing these programs, then there shouldn't be a fear on how the affiliate entity will be run, because we understand that they know all the standards. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. You made a lot of points. And first of all, you made points about fundraising. And maybe we can hear something from the GBC side or the SANC side about that. Either Govardhan Prabhu or Swarup Damodar or Prabhanu or whoever.
Well, actually, I mean, you know, it's an ISKCON program, so all the ISKCON, the congregation, wherever possible to fundraise, must be made available to support the program. I don't think the National Council will have an issue with that. As for Damodar Prabhu, it's almost a kind of common sense thing, right? I mean, the project needs funding to get going, like any other project. So the whole ISKCON field and congregation, there'll be a lot of devotees who come forward to contribute, and they shouldn't be in any way, they should be encouraged to do that. Swarup?
I agree. And the leadership, the National Council, the GBCs will also encourage and promote the support of these initiatives. Not just we open the field, but there will be encouragement and, you know, convincing from the top to the community of donors as well to adopt these projects.
Can I make a
Okay,
suggestion?
so that's very clear.
May I make
Okay,
a
give me one
suggestion?
moment. Give me one moment, Maharaj. And then I'll turn the floor to you. So just summarize that the GBC and the chairman of the National Council are both saying all the donors, ISKCON, are completely open. It's an ISKCON program, and all facilities are given to collect from funding from the existing congregation. And then Mahavishnu Maharaj, please.
I heard from Sabbasachi that they collected 10,000 rands for this program, this initiative. Can the SANC pledge something also concrete right now? They're pledging 10,000. So what is the concrete offer from SANC?
I see.
That's my
The topic is fundraising. Vishnu Swami is expert. Well, Swarup Damodar, you're the chairman of SANC, so let's hear from you. You're on mute, Swarup.
Sorry. I think at least the same amount as a startup capital, at least the same amount. Of course, there have been other. Just hold on there, Mahavishnu Raj, that at least the same amount, but there have been discussions of more sort of impactful securing of donations and financial support from various senior devotees. And I think if they are comfortable, they can present themselves. Some of them are sitting here. But I think at least from the National Council, at least the initial matching of what WuSA has collected can be made available as soon as possible as some startup facility.
Yeah. Both Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj and myself have for a long time wanted to invest money in a project that supports African preaching and that supports the African community. That money was meant for a permanent project, not meant for like programs or these kind of things. And at this point, we both were able to raise some money for that, and we have raised 1 million each to begin with, which can be used for starting some project. We're looking at assisting, the effort to do something to expand that and see if some other senior men, like some of the sannyasis, we'll ask some of the sannyasis, like, for example, maybe Mahavishnu Maharaj will give something also, and maybe some others. And in that way, we can maybe make it a larger amount, which you like to be available to a project. And we're very happy if I, from my side, I can speak only for myself, but I really would like to see a flagship project in South Africa, which in the Gauteng area, which is completely under the management of African devotees, and that they would provide vision for it and the management for it and so on. And I for years have been desiring such a project. I've spoken about it with the National Council many times, and I would be very happy if from all of you such an initiative would be welcomed. Hey, then I would also go away. Yay, that was really good. So maybe I can hear some feedback on that from you, from the WuSA side. What does WuSA think about that?
That would be wonderful to get some of that funding towards the preaching work. And especially what is wonderful is to have the support of the senior devotees to feel that they are actually giving us mercy and blessings to try to do the preaching work, because we of course don't feel like we are the new supermans in town that will just be the big revolution that no one can do, but we want to sincerely offer our life energy towards creating an environment where Africans and others can have another flavor of ISKCON and make it easy for them to connect to the message of Srila Prabhupada, which I think ISKCON South Africa desperately needs, because it's been one flavor for the longest, and that flavor is not maybe appealing to a larger demographic. So we would really be happy with that, those types of donations, and also the guidance.
Oh. Well, you know, I mean, as you know, I mean, I'm always, yes, Mahaprabhu, give me 1 minute. As you know, I'm always wanting to support these efforts for a long time. And if I can be of any help, you know, beyond just in various ways of support, please let me know. I'll turn it over to Mahaprabhu.
Thank you very much for giving me the space to speak in this regard. One thing is that the flagship temple from the African community is long overdue, as far as I can tell, because especially myself, I'm in this situation here in Soweto, you know, and I'm hearing it from the celebrities that have seen Krishna consciousness. I'm hearing it even from the government officials. You know, I mean, just around my place here, hardly 2 minutes or 3 minutes walk, there's a, what you call a Khalima Mukante, if you might know him. And then also Mbazi Mashilowa, they are closer to me here. And I'm constantly working with their children, actually, you know, in the community, especially with Food for Life. And they're always asking questions like this, you know, because some of them, they've visited our temple and they've seen these temples. And they are asking, why there is nothing within the African community, you know, that can showcase what Krishna consciousness is all about. Yeah. And I think it's long overdue. If that can be done to build a flagship temple, you know, that is run by the Africans, believe me, that will be the beginning of the preaching in South Africa, as far as I'm concerned, you know, because we are under what you call the eye of the government. The government is looking at that, what are we doing? I mean, we know for many years, we've been trying to cultivate the government. Why they're not seeing favorable things from us or even coming to help? It's because they are seeing that there's nothing happening. We're not empowering African community. The Africans are not really empowered in this regard. And if they can be empowered in this regard, believe me, the government will come forward and help immensely. They will help immensely. But first, it has to come to that we have a flagship temple within the African community. If that can happen, that will be the beginning of the preaching. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would like to just make some comments to what Mahaprabhu was saying, that there is actually a temple being built in Hammanskraal by one devotee, Narottam. And I don't know the details of it, but I know that currently there is a beautiful temple being built in Hammanskraal. Perhaps Sabyasachi can talk a little bit about the acquired land. It's actually now ISKCON land that we have in Hammanskraal. And devotees came together to buy this property. And currently there's a temple being built slowly. So sometimes devotees are not making a lot of noise about their work. For example, with little namahats as well that are happening in Zone 2 Meadowlands. And some devotees are just not making a lot of noise about what they are doing. But I think for me, I feel like the project in Hammanskraal is something that we can put energy towards because it's already ISKCON land, because a devotee contributed to buying it. So we can make this a very, very big deal, that here it is, Africans have accepted, or Africans are very participating in Hare Krishna in South Africa, and there's a temple in Hammanskraal, right in the township, in one of the townships in Hammanskraal, and this is how it looks like. Haribo.
Thank you very much. Yes, Hammanskraal is there's a whole development, and it's growing. It's very nice to hear. Okay. So on the topic of fundraising, yes, Narina Radhika, unmute yourself and.
Marge, I was just saying that perhaps WuSA can commit to putting together a few project proposals now that we know the scope and the scale of what's possible in terms of fundraising, and we can take responsibility for putting some documents, putting some ideas together in a tangible way, and come back and those who are inspired and interested in funding can know exactly what specific projects that are available.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Please do. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, then if we close the discussion on these two things, like registration and fundraising, and we move on to another topic, which was also kind of discussed yesterday, but still maybe not fully worked out, and that was the ICO, the complaint office, or whatever it stands for, the aphorism. I'm not sure what the I stands for. Is it international, or I don't know. I have no idea. But anyway, a legal structure where people who felt that they needed to present complaints, that they could be heard and find some formal response to that. So that office, as we heard yesterday from Govardhan Prabhu, there was an initiative already running, and somehow or other, on the 1st of July, they piloted a program, and set it all up, and now in the letter of WuSA, that also came up as an agenda item, right? And WuSA had a particular idea about how it should take place, because WuSA wanted participation in the forming of that office, and wanted to feel that it would be clearly a forum where they felt they would feel comfortable, would feel which would generate trust, so that people could actually open up and speak. So maybe we can hear a bit more on that topic.